So the number one sign that shows that your business is too dependent on you as an entrepreneur is if you were to step out for whatever reason, 2 to 3 weeks out for your company, is the business going to grow? Is the business going to die? Is the business just gonna about stay the same? If you can't step out of your business for about 2 to 3 weeks without worrying or staying up late night with a hard pillow, you have a broken system right now. But there's a couple things that you can do to actually break through from that and focus on building a business that's not reliant on you and can continue to grow and scale without you having to be in the day-to-day and involved in everything. So here's the 5 reasons why founders become the bottleneck for their business. Okay, so the number one reason why your business is bottlenecked by you is because you don't have a big enough vision. Whenever you recruit people or when you try to sit down and tell people what it is that you're doing, it's not sexy enough, it's not compelling, you're not doing anything that's too inspiring. Think about Elon Musk and his vision. He wants to take people to Mars, he wants to change the world, he wants to put our species on a completely different planet. That's an insane vision, and it's the reason why he's building one of the world's biggest companies. But for you, maybe it's not going to Mars. Maybe you just need to figure out what's the difference that you can really make in this world if your company was to grow and can rally people around you to want to get to that same goal. You need a bigger vision. Number 2, you never developed a running mate or a number 2 person. You probably have some people in your company that are just like regular admin people, or maybe you do have a couple good guys that could step it up, but they're not really your running mate or your number 2 person. They're not going to every single meeting with you. They're not touching base with all of the clients that you're touching base with. They're kind of in their own little world or siloed off. What we do here at Valuetainment with the consulting branch that we're building with Pat is that a lot of the meetings that we have with some of our top clients, whenever they fly in to do a one-on-one session with Tom Ellsworth or Patrick, we will actually sit in the sessions with them because we're also learning the bottlenecks for their business. We're also learning what are some of the different things that an entrepreneur could do to get to that next level. Some people will never allow their team to grow with them because they're afraid that they might learn too much and they'll go off and do their own thing. But then you just end up having a bunch of people around you that aren't as good as you or aren't able to take that next step without you being there. You need to develop a number 2 who you can mentor, someone who shadows you, someone who can be another version of you. And then the next step from there is having 2 to 3 more of yourself in the company. That's when you start developing leaders who can take the company to the next level without you having to be there. Number 3, you're still doing $20 minimum wage tasks, doing your laundry or going to get food or putting in admin work on a spreadsheet. For some reason, you're still doing that because you think that you're the only person who can. If you were to just hire an assistant for $10, $15, $20 an hour to take those minimum wage tasks off of your plate, you're gonna save 3, 4, 5 hours over the course of a week. And then now it's a matter of what are you focusing that time on? You have to focus on higher leverage activities that are gonna be worth more your time so you can focus on growing the business. Number 4, I was actually just talking to an entrepreneur about this. He was someone who was in the medical device equipment repair business. He mentioned that at his peak, he was running $1 million company and the market just hit the right way and he got really lucky and he just started working, and he would spend 3 days of going no sleep and he would just be working. But then the next year, his business cut in half and now he's running barely a $500,000 a year business. It's because you've built a company that is reliant on you and your energy levels. You're not built on a system, you're built purely on grind and hustle. And grind and hustle, eventually, if one thing kicks you out of place, if you have a sick day, if you have a sick week, if something terrible happens for whatever reason, now your business is gonna crumble. Your business needs to be built on systems, not just hustle and hard work. And finally, number 5, your business grew but your identity didn't grow with it. If you got lucky and you went on a really strong run in business and you generated $1 million in sales or the most amount of money that you've ever made in your life, but if you in your mind still have limiting beliefs, if you're not becoming a better leader, if you're not developing your soft skills in addition to your hard skills, everything rises and falls on your level of leadership and your identity. So even if you make a bunch of money, at the end of the day, you're gonna get the results that are in alignment with your mindset and your way of performing. That's what we see a lot of times with CEOs is they'll make a bunch of money, but if they're not constantly evolving, developing themselves, becoming better people, and raising their mindset, then they're just gonna go back to ultimately what their subconscious is already programmed to do, which sometimes isn't really a lot. So raising your identity is crucial for you to continue to grow, recreating yourself. Okay, so now you just found out why your business is bottlenecked, but this is the actual 4-step formula to solve it. This is how you're gonna go from doing everything, being the chief everything officer, to becoming a chief executive officer. Step number 1, you have to audit your role. Put together a task of everything that you do in a single day, line it up, and you wanna focus on the revenue generating activities. You wanna focus on the leadership. You wanna focus on developing and being a coach to your players, or focusing on the things that only you should focus on, which typically what we've seen is revenue generating activities, and you wanna start focusing on delegating the other tasks. Step number 2 is where a lot of business owners get a lot of challenge because they think that they're the only person who can do what it is that they need to do. But you need to delegate the bottom 70% of tasks that you're currently focused on. You wanna get to that sweet spot where 50% of your time is focused on the things that are gonna grow the business, and everything else you have to get off of your plate. Even if that requires you attracting better talent, or maybe you even do the Moneyball strategy where rather than attracting one big A player, maybe you have 3 or 4 C or D players who can sort of add up to ultimately becoming an A player. You have to start delegating, and you have to be able to be a leader and hold them accountable to the things that you need them to do. And that goes to step number 3. Step number 3 is that you're gonna find that one key person. You wanna find who your running mate is going to be. You wanna start developing them. You want them to shadow you. You want them to go to all your meetings. You want them to see the way that you operate, why you say certain things in negotiations or in your huddles or in your meetings, or the way that you're just operating as a business owner. You need to recreate yourself. You need to duplicate yourself. So find that one person. Sometimes it doesn't even need to be the most skilled or the most experienced person. Obviously, if you have that, even better. Now you're able to get a lot more exponential growth. But even if it's just someone that you have a lot of trust in, we have someone at the company that's been with Patrick for 20 years now. Mario started off shooting videos behind the camera, and now he runs a whole division of Bet David Consulting under Valuetainment, and he has a whole core team of consultants and managers that report to him. And he was just a regular guy who started working for Pat at 18 years old, who came from, having his family's laundry business. So it doesn't need to always be the most skilled person, but it does need to be someone that has high integrity and that you trust. Step number 4 is really where you have to be a leader, and it's when you start hosting your weekly accountability meetings. For us, we host huddles every single day to shape the mindset, to kind of share good news, to tell people where they might be messing up and where we might need to start focusing as a team. And then you might want to start doing one-on-ones with your top guys. Maybe that's held once a month. Maybe you host a monthly staff meeting where everyone in the company just gets together and you guys are reading a book of the month. Or maybe it's just a simple once a week, 1 hour, starts with a number and ends with a date. What are we doing? Where are we at? How much further until we achieve this metric? But you need to find a way where you can touch base with your guys frequently to be able to hold them accountable, because ultimately you're gonna be the guy who sets that standard. Okay, if you're in a season where business is getting really tough for you and you kind of feel like you're going crazy, just know that you're definitely not alone. You're not the only person. We deal with founders and CEOs every single day that are kind of starting up their business, all the way to the guys that have already made hundreds of millions of dollars, sold their company, and they're finding for that next why and that next thing. But the biggest thing is just being around a community of other people that are at your level. So if you got value from this video, check out my next video. I'm gonna put a link here below. I think you'd get a lot of value from it. And follow me on socials below, on Instagram, here working at Valuetainment with Patrick Bet David. Talk to you soon.